you ever known that person that just didn't understand reality? They just lived in their own little bubble of self-deception. We're going to talk about that today from Proverbs chapter 25. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. My name is Aaron Hawk, and if this is your first time visiting with us, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us today. God's Word Made Simple is an online discipleship ministry dedicated to taking God's Word and making it simple. We want to help you understand God's Word, apply it to your life, and grow in your relationship with the Lord. Also, if you appreciate this ministry and content, at some point make sure and hit that subscribe button, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. We would love to have you as part of our family. Okay guys, so welcome back. Today we are covering Proverbs chapter 26. I said 25 in the intro. Oops. Self-deception, right? But we're covering chapter 26, verses 12 through 19 today. And that intro about living in a bubble, that really applies to all of chapter 26. So if you didn't catch chapter 26, verses 1 through 11, please go check that video out and then watch this one, because that really applies to the whole chapter, that self-deception, really the whole book of Proverbs, but especially this chapter. But I felt like that was important, especially because of verse 12, and then going into the section about a sluggard. So let's go on in verse 12. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? Someone who's self-deceived, someone who thinks they know it all or thinks that they understand themselves and all those around them, when in fact they don't understand any of the above. That's not just arrogance. That's actually self-deception, which typically leads to arrogance. So there is a distinction there. There is more hope for a fool than for him. And that's a hard truth to swallow. That's hard. There's more hope for a fool, which we covered in last week's video and all through the book of Proverbs, that there's not a lot of hope for fools, because fools, by definition, refuse to listen and learn. But the self-deceived person, and this is why I am so scared, the thing I am the most scared of in all of life is self-deception. Because I have gone through periods of my life of being very self-deceived, and that led to all kinds of problems. And when you're self-deceived, you, by definition, you can't get out of it. It requires someone entering your life, shattering that deception, and helping you out of that pit. And most of the time, people don't have the guts to do it. Just like we talked about in verse 5 of last week's video. Answer a fool as his folly deserves, right? Self-deception is dangerous and scary because by definition, you can't come out of it on your own, or at least not until something dawns on you one day. But it's usually someone, a third party, entering into your world that allows that deception to be shattered. Not always. I guess I shouldn't say can't come out, but exceedingly unlikely, which is why it says that there is more hope for a fool, someone who refuses to listen, because someone that refuses to listen, that suddenly decides, oh, maybe I should pay attention, right? That person, there's more hope for them than the one that is blinded and literally can't even understand anything out of their own perspective. And then we move on to the sluggard, and it's important to understand there is a connection there. That's not the only reason for being a sluggard or a lazy person, but there is a connection there. The sluggard says, there's a lion in the road, a lion in the open square. And elsewhere in the Proverbs, it gives a little bit more color to this particular one. This is the person that says, well, I can't go outside because there's a lion, right? Now, lions are and were a real threat in this area. I think they're less so now than they were then, but they are and were a threat. So it's not that it would be unreasonable for there to possibly be a lion out there, and certainly you don't want to just go running through the square if there's a lion. Specifically running is bad. But the sluggard just assumes that there's something out there. Or, hey, I heard there's lions around here. I don't think it'd be wise to go out there. I'll just stay in here and sleep and rest and twiddle my thumbs and play video games all day would be maybe the modern equivalent, or Netflix or whatever your streaming thing is all day, or YouTube. Although if you're watching this video, you're allowing your YouTube time and your streaming time to benefit you spiritually rather than just being a complete time waster. So anyway, the sluggard says there's a lion in the road, a lion in the open square. This is the person that just doesn't want to do any work and they find an excuse. We've all been there at some point, but the sluggard in particular is someone who makes a habit of this. As the door turns on its hinges, so does the sluggard on his bed, which I kind of just referenced that, right? Somebody that stays in bed all the time, not interested in getting up and doing anything or being productive, and then they wonder why they can't get ahead in life. It's hard enough to get ahead in life when you are diligent. Anyway, verse 15, the sluggard buries his hand in the dish. He is weary of bringing it to his mouth again. That's the person that's just so lazy that they just cram. It's like a dish of candies maybe, or something like that is the mental picture that I have. I imagine the dish is just supposed to be regular food, but I picture the sluggard just being the one, like maybe it's a big bowl of M&Ms or popcorn or something as they're watching their Netflix, shove their hand in it, and they're just so lazy. It's a difference between somebody that is exhausted from long, hard work. Maybe at the end of the day, you pop the popcorn, you sit down to stream something, you put your hand in there and you're like, I'm so tired. That's different. That's exhaustion because of diligence. A sluggard is somebody that this is just their lifestyle. They're so lazy, they don't even want to bring it back up to eat the food that they just shoved their hand in. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can give a discreet answer. Now remember, I told you there's a connection to verse 12. We're bringing it back here now. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can give a discreet answer. And discreet answer, I believe that is really intended to be someone who speaks truth in the right moment and is watching for those opportunities. I could be wrong on my understanding there, but that's how I'm taking that. Bottom line, the point here is that the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes, self-deceived. Wiser in his own eyes than 7 men, 7 other people could speak into his life, but he's wiser than all 7 of them. That's the point of this passage, regardless of what the discreet answer in particular means. Okay, verse 17. Like one who takes a dog by the ears, and this is assuming an aggressive dog. Some people like to play with their dog's ears, myself included. Our dog has the most velvety ears, right? So that's different. This is talking about an aggressive dog that you're trying to get a hold of, right? Grabbing the dog by its ears is going to do nothing. Assuming the dog is facing you, which it probably would be, grabbing it by the ears, very sensitive parts of your body are right there next to the snout. Not so smart, right? Like one who takes a dog by the ears is he who passes by and meddles with strife not belonging to him. In other words, you don't have to get involved in everybody else's drama, and when you do, you're about as smart as the person who takes a dog by the ears and expects not to get hurt. And I've seen that countless times in self-defense situations. There are times where you should and need to step in to protect someone. But a lot of times when people are just sitting there yapping at each other, do not get involved. By the way, I've done a video not too terribly long ago on is it okay for a Christian to use violence, or should all Christians be pacifists? I talk about this a little bit there, and then I also point you to some resources to train your mind on some of this as well. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch that video, especially in the modern political climate, and then check out some of the resources. They're free resources that I point you to. All right, and then verse 18, like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death. I mean, that's just like, everything in the kitchen sink. A madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death. So is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, was I not joking? We've all known those people, right? People that say or do something really bad and dumb, and they just think everybody's going to buy the stupid answer. Oh, I was just teasing, you know me, I'm a prankster, right? I mean, that's even made fun of in sitcoms because everybody sees through that, and yet somehow that fool thinks that everybody is just going to buy it and go along. That person is like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death. Anybody around that person is going to have nothing but trouble, and that's the theme of being around a fool, which is why you should want to not be a fool, which is why, as it says in the early parts of Proverbs, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. Don't be a fool. Grow in your relationship with the Lord and learn how to be a wise person. All right, guys, as always, if you appreciate this ministry and content, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. We'd love to have you as part of our family. Then if you do want to support this ministry, the number one way to do that, there's two ways, but the number one is to interact on our videos. Start by sharing this video. Share it on all your social media platforms, but don't forget to hit that like button and comment down below. What are some examples you have seen in life, or what are some thoughts that you had as I was covering these Proverbs? Please let me know that in the comments. One, because I want to be able to interact with you. This is a discipleship ministry, and if I can't interact with you, then the amount of discipleship is very limited. But two, you're helping the channel grow because YouTube sees that interaction as the video having value, and then YouTube will deliver the video to more people. In the absence of that kind of interaction, YouTube says, oh, you know, nobody's really interested in these videos, so we're just not going to put them out there for anyone else to see. The second way, of course, if you want to financially support us, we do have some needs, and there is a link down in the description. All gifts are tax deductible. All right, guys, thank you very much, and God bless.